Plans begin for the $1 billion eSports island. The Tekken boss says some interesting things about young people, and the saxophonist taking Elden Ring to a whole new level. I'm Ash Dixon, and this is Jinx News. Declining viewership numbers, waning sponsorship deals, countless teams divesting from competitive gaming or shutting down entirely. Esports is in a pretty rough state right now because, as it turns out, funneling an obscene amount of money into something doesn't automatically make it profitable. Luckily, everyone seems to have calmed down a bit and are now gently pushing forward with a more level-headed approach. Introducing the $1 billion eSports island, featuring huge tournament arenas, sleek bootcamp training facilities, and the GG Resort, a colossal hotel with 200 gaming-equipped rooms and, I quote, a parachute jump check-in. Where is this tasteful, quaint island being made? In Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates, of course, and by a company called True Gamers, which looks to be run by a small group of Russians. Now, there's not much info on these guys online, but I imagine they're real humble beginnings, salt of the earth kind of people. And I wish I could blindly admire such a monumental investment in esports, but it's hard to get excited about such obscene displays of wealth when thousands and thousands of people are being laid off in the industry right now. And we never talk about the people who have to build this shit. Migrant workers from poorer countries desperate to build a better life for themselves and their families, only to be treated like second-class citizens. In fact, according to the Harvard International Review, employers can confiscate employees' passports, force them to reside in crowded labor camps with no set minimum wage, no unions allowed, and the inability to change jobs or quit without the permission of their employer. But hey, that work is totally worth it for that sick view in that sizzling desert heat. Maybe you can give them a wave as you parachute by to check in to the GG Resort. And when it's all said and done, all the gaming companies that pride themselves on how much they care about social issues will swarm in because there's nothing more fair and just than your share of that sweet, sweet oil money. When will this esports island be complete? No one knows. Will it be an overly ambitious project which will ultimately be a huge waste of money? Well, call me a skeptic, but it's likely. But what do you think? Is this good for esports? Would you ever visit the esports island yourself? Let us know down in the comments. Tekken boss Katsuhiro Harada has said younger players prefer team games so they can shift responsibility if they lose. That's right, when he's not on Twitter getting confused about why everyone wants a Waffle House stage, he seems to be taking part in podcasts saying rather questionable things. He said, in Japan, and probably in most of the world, my generation is a big one. That made our society a competitive one. If you applied to a school or for a job, there was always a lot of competition. Because of this, people in my generation prefer definitive outcomes, a clear winner and loser. But most young people nowadays are the opposite. They're rarely eager to engage in one-on-one showdowns. And maybe that's true in Japan, but here, yeah, we're in the most highly competitive employment and education market in history. Hell, even trying to find a place to live feels like playing the Hunger Games because we can't afford food because we need to cover the rent. Now, I won't go too far down that rabbit hole because that specific argument is just outright ridiculous. However, he did also say, because fighting games pit you by yourself against a single opponent, you have to accept all the responsibility if you lose. In team-based shooters, when players win, they can say that they won because of their own contributions, but when they lose, it's because they got matched with a lousy team. Which I kind of see what he's saying, but Harada, what do you mean it's my fault I lost at Tekken? Bro, can't you see how much my game is lagging? Plus, my controller's got mad stick drift. And dude, you're using a no-skill fighter. Call me up when you're playing Yoshimitsu. If anything, I'd argue that team-based games can be some of the highest pressure gaming environments. I have been there being a noob in an MMO, and people are ruthless if you mess up. I know so many people who avoid ranked PvP or hardcore content because of the fear of letting the team down. To be honest, I think the main shift away from 1v1 games is the simple fact that often it's more fun to play with your friends than against them. Rocket League is the perfect example. You get hyped by your friends when you make a sick play, and you get to share in the ridicule when someone does something stupid. And sweet, there's always the option of a 1v1 or a 2v2 if you want to play against your mates. It's an interesting debate though, and what do you think? Are younger generations less competitive? Why do we gravitate towards team-based games? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Ever since the days of Super Mario Kart on the SNES, we've had loads of franchises release their own versions of the genre, from the ones you might have heard, like Crash Team Racing, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, and Disney Speedstorm, to the ones you might not have heard of. Who knew there was karting games based on Star Wars, Angry Birds, and even the M&M Bros? But for fans of the Soul series, there's been one meme in particular that fans have been clamoring for: Bloodborne Kart. Enter Lilith Walters, the genius behind the Bloodborne PSX demake that was released a few years ago. Following the surprise success of that little project, she decided to turn her hand to making fans' dreams come true by creating a PS1 era kart racer featuring the characters and locals of Yharnam. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is Sony have gotten a bit uppity over the project and sent Walters a strongly worded letter asking if she could please not use their intellectual property without permission. The good news is that Walters has scrubbed off the Bloodborne branding and will be dropping the newly named Nightmare Kart for free on Steam and itch.io. The whole process has taken some time, as you'd expect. She was originally meant to release the game in January, but has since spent the last few months making everything legally distinct enough to please the boring people in suits. But it looks like it will be worth it. Despite being totally free, it seems like it will be fully packed with features, including 21 playable characters, 16 courses, a battle arena, and a full campaign mode, including boss fights. No idea how that will work, but I genuinely can't wait to see. So yeah, it's sad we won't be able to go racing around Bergenworth as Lady Maria, or tear it up around Fishing Hamlet as one of those goddamn shit whales, but it's great that we'll still get to play something that has so much love and dedication poured into it. And who knows, maybe it will summon the great ones to create a true Bloodborne kart of their own. Just time for a few bite-sized stories to round off today's show. First up, the Knights of the Old Republic remake is still in development despite seemingly being dead in the water. That's according to the publisher Saber Interactive boss Matthew Kart, who said in a recent interview, "It's clear and it's obvious that we're working on this. It's been in the press numerous times. What I will say is that the game is alive and well, and we're dedicated to making sure we exceed consumer expectations." And is it just me, or does he sound rather fed up with people asking about it? But then again, this is both one of the most beloved RPGs of all time and a Star Wars game, so what did he expect? Either way, look forward to playing that sometime around the mid-2030s. Another hotly anticipated title leaving people frustrated by its disappearance is Hollow Knight Silksong. It's been seemingly forever since we first heard about the sequel to the 2017 smash hit Metroidvania, and now it's finally seeing the light of day. Well, sort of. The game has officially been given a page on the Microsoft Store, announced by Xbox President Sarah Bond. The title will be coming to Game Pass on release, something I'm sure they're very excited to tout to fans in an attempt to drum up those sweet, sweet subscribers. It was also discovered by someone over on Resetera that the game was actually classified in South Korea all the way back in February. This is usually the first sign of an imminent arrival for a game, so it might just be time for you Hornet fans to get excited once again. And last but certainly not least, an Elden Ring player has beat the game using only a saxophone and without taking a single hit. Dr. Decomposing is his name, and yes, his run included defeating all 7 Great Rune bosses. Respect, my friend. I salute the dude. Saxophone. And that's the show. Hit up our Patreon to support the show and get exclusive content. Like and subscribe so you don't miss out on your daily gaming news, and we'll see you tomorrow.